You are very big on mentorship. Very big on mentorship. And I see that you also take your mentees to lunch. Please come mentor me. I want to go out on lunch as well. Because I see, I'm like, wow. Maletjema is such a very, great mentor. Like, she takes her mentees to lunch, and also when your mentees are, succeeding on something, you post them there to be like, my mentee is doing well, this and this and this. And I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful way to go about it, and to also make them, and everything like that. How do you think? Because I feel like, but maybe in certain spaces, but I feel like, or in the spaces that I have been, I feel like we don't value mentorship to that level as yet. Well, these are the spaces that I have been in myself. But then I realized the importance of mentorship and how it can really develop and grow someone and all of those kind of things. What's your take on that and the value of mentorship and why we need it?
Okay. So mentorship it's like you're getting advice to move your life from one point to the other for you, and they can actually put you in the spaces of where you see yourself in those number of years. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like you, but in 40 years. So you get somebody who's already there in order to help you navigate to get to that. So that's the importance of mentorship. I mean, if you're standing here and you're trying to go somewhere, right? Let me say now the mentor is almost like a navigator.
Yeah,
who will be telling you that turn left, turn right. Unlike what we used to do before without a navigator. You will just and to a point where you might not even reach your destination because you don't know how to go about it. So mentorship is like being there ahead of time. Being given the instruction, being given it's the most it's the best thing that you could ever do for yourself, because that person has been there, they've gained knowledge, and now they're sharing it with you. And I mean, you know nothing. I mean, if you were to tell me about going to varsity, I had never really went out of Limpopo for school or anything. Now I was going to Wits or Cape Town, even out of the country. If you don't know anybody or to help you with that, the chances of you going there are very low. But if you have somebody who's already doing it, will probably help you.
And now on the I agree, you have a mentor, you have a mentee, and you have that relationship. You get what I'm saying? Which is a relationship in the sense of relationships. It is. It must be nurtured. It must be, and all of those kind of things. But someone who's sitting out there and be like, I need a mentor, how do they start about it? Because another thing that I've realized is that the mentee should be very careful in choosing, because like you said, it's a navigation. So I guess it's all about, where do I want to see myself? I want to see myself in this point. Who can be the right person to navigate me there? I think Maletjema can actually do that. And maybe approaching Maletjema and everything like that. Just give us the criteria from the mentor choosing and maintaining the relationship and all of those kind of things.
Okay. So number one, you have to identify what you want to achieve, right? So for example, with my mentees, I knew that she is in grade 12. The time I started with her, she was in grade 11, grade 12. I knew her goal was to get to university. I was already in university, So we are coming together because of that. So she'd be like, I want to go to university. How do I go about it? It's just asking, how do I get to where you are? It's that simple. Being interested in what somebody's doing and just asking them, hi, I noticed you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. How can I go about it? I think that is the biggest thing, regardless of whether you are a mentee in a lower level or in a higher level. It's all about having an interest in what somebody is doing, and people are normally open to giving you advice.
Sure.
Yeah, they're open to giving you advice. So the most important thing as a mentee, you must ask, follow up. You are driving. as a mentor, it's not my responsibility to now be following you around. You are the one who
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, that it's a relationship, and it needs to be maintained from both sides. But of course, the main team has actually, because what I found in most cases is people to say, I'll have a student who will come to me and be like, Ben, I need you to mentor me. And we agree. Then they're just there. And they're expecting me to now be like, hey, I'm here, your mentor, what up? And I'm like, but some of them, they don't know. Like, I think you need to sit with them down and really tell them, how does this thing work and everything like that. So some of them will sit with them down and be like, we need to establish this relationship, how this is going to work and everything like that. And from there, we start to, but some, they just, they have a different understanding of it. They think you're going to be the one who's going to be like, okay, today let's come, we're going to talk about this. And I'm like, no, it's actually you. Sure. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that help drive a mentorship is have pre-agreed meetings. For example, I know that with my mentors, I used to be like, okay, so every month we must have a conversation.
Yeah.
We must meet. If we're too far, it's every 3 months. It depends on the busyness that the person, is mixed into. But have those so that you are now propelled. If now I come to you and I'm like, okay, Ben, I want you to mentor me so that I get great marks. I want to improve my studies. Every time there's a test, if it's coming up, go consult. Okay, I'm having difficulties with 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. How can I go about it? And then you write your test. Come back with the results and say, this is what I've got. So that you're constantly improving, because that person, so you don't always have to have something new, but grow from whatever topic that you have. Tell the person the progress that you're making. With this one, I'm doing really well. So I was thinking of doing something. So that helps you, keep it consistent. So don't just come there, drop a bomb, and then
drop a bomb.
So you please mentor me, and then
Sure. No,
it's actually a relationship.
It's a culture that we need to make it clear, and we need to build it up from that place. So today, like I said, since I have you here, you are working with mentors, you run a mentorship program, you're a mentor yourself and everything. Just the perfect person to talk about mentorship. So I want to gravitate to student mentorship, but I just want us to start from a general perspective. What does mentorship mean to you?
It just means having someone who can guide you and who can be a representation for you. Because most of the times you find someone who is at a place where you probably want to be. And sometimes they are the only person that you have access to. And when you have a relationship with them, you get that thing, it's actually possible to be where I am. So that's what mentorship means to me.
So now let's talk in the student space, right? And one thing that I know about mentorship is that you have different sort of types of disciplines of mentorship. Like you can have someone who mentors you purely on academic things, or someone mentors you maybe on work-related things and stuff. But I always find that it always overlaps. It even gets into personal stuff, even if maybe started from an academic perspective and everything like that. If a student says to you, like, why do I need a mentor? Is it important to need a mentor? Like, I've got this, I'm a top student, I can study these things, like I'm getting distinctions and stuff like that. What would you say to such a student?
I mean, if you don't feel like you need a mentor, you can't really force someone and be like, you actually need this. But I think it also goes back to realizing that at the point where you are in life, you probably, like you said, you probably think what's going to happen when you start working or when you graduate and all those things. So it's just a matter of maybe just give it a try and see if you can actually learn something that you probably do not know. And if you still feel like you're okay, you're a top student, you'll be fine, then it's fine. I don't think anyone should be forced to have a mentor, but we definitely don't know everything.
True.
So it's just a matter of if it's something that you don't want, you can't force anyone. Because also another problem that we have with our students is that they think mentorship is one-sided, when I as a mentor need to constantly check up on you, do things for you, and you don't have to give anything back. So once you find someone who feel like they don't need mentorship, they are fine. It's hard to get them to actually contribute and play their part. So it's just a matter of, you can't force anyone to want something if they feel like they don't need it, but you can always make them aware that you might actually need it, because we don't always know everything.
Yeah. Well, what kind of mentors do you think students need? Definitely somebody who's academic. I think students do need that. Someone within the space. I always advise, like, especially first years, to be like, because you find that maybe you're struggling with course, and like find a senior student who can mentor you through that course. So like a mentorship which is course related and everything like that. But as we move as students, sometimes then we start to apply for jobs and everything like that, and you start to realize, oh, actually I need some information and everything. It would have been better if I had a mentor who's in corporate while I'm still a student, so that I know how I maneuver. Just touch base on that. Like what kind of mentors can you recommend, to a student?
I think if you're a student, if you're in high school, you probably need someone who is in their early years of varsity, so that they can actually guide you. And if you're in varsity, like you said, you need someone who's a senior. But even if you're in varsity, you can get someone who's in corporate. It really helps, because you get a different perspective. They have much more experience, and they can actually help you out. For me, I have one specific mentor who's been with me since I was in high school, and she's been in corporate. So she has been a mentor to me with high school, varsity. She tells me what happens in corporate and what I should do once I get there. She is my mentor when it comes to my personal life. When I'm sick, I go to her. When I have personal issues, I go to her. So like you said, it sort of like overlaps. So it's hard to, because even with the way I do my mentorship, it normally overlaps. We are going to touch on your personal life. Not that I'm going to force you to tell me what happens in your personal life, but we're going to touch on it because it somehow affects you. It affects everything else that goes on in your life. If things are not okay at home, for example, chances are you're not going to perform as you normally would if things were okay. So I sort of have to come there and just help you out if I can, or support you, or give you the advice that I can give you. So it for me, it's not that structured, because it normally overlaps. Hence now with Frank, I've been mentoring him since he was in grade 10. Wow. So now it's like we've been together. I don't see myself as his mentor, because he has helped me with a lot of things as well.
Sure.
Like, he has supported me. He has given me advice sometimes. So it ends up becoming that fruitful relationship where both of you actually end up benefiting from that. So that is most of my mentees are now not necessarily my friends, but we are able to feed off each other. So for me, it's a structure is something that we just have it in the mentorship program, because some people just get into it because they want that structure and they don't want anyone to like get into their space and all those things. But for me, I'm okay with building relationship. We are now siblings. We are going to share everything. We are going to help each other. If you are able to help me, you are going to be able to help me. And when I'm able to help you, I help you. So all of the mentorship relationships that I've had are at that point now where we are just like siblings.
Yeah. What students look for in a mentor? Like, if I'm a student and I need a mentor, what are some of the fundamental things that I must look out for? I think character is also something that in my personal view, I think is also very much important. But what are some of the other things that perhaps students should look out for, or anyone who needs a mentor for that matter?
I think the first thing is you need to look at, there's the small things that people would think it doesn't matter. Like a person in whom you're going to be comfortable with in terms of gender. If you feel like having a female mentor is not going to serve you, then get a male mentor, because if you feel like you're going to relate better to them and you're going to be open to them, then that's okay. You should consider such things. Look at if it's a person who is at a point where you probably want to be, and if it's a person where you're definitely gonna learn something from them. And also consider the objective that you have for the mentorship, because in as much as it can end up being like a relationship, a good relationship where I think it's very important to start with, okay, I need a mentor because I want to graduate. And in order to graduate, I need someone who is, they are able to study. They have like better study methods than me because of their experience and all those things. So those are the things that you need to look at. So that even if because I don't believe that all mentorship relationships are meant to last forever. They probably gonna end at some point. So you need to get to a point where you have learned as much as you can and you have achieved your objective. But also just looking at someone who, I think, consider the person's time as well, because some people really do not have time. And this is where that distance mentorship comes from. If it's someone that you probably admire, but they're out there, you can actually get that mentorship from a distance. So consider the person's time. Do you believe that the person is going to be able to have the time to help you out? I think it's also important to consider it before you approach them so that you don't get disappointed, because I know people who have approached others like, can you be my mentor? They're like, no, I can't because I don't have the time. And also, it's not, you don't necessarily need to give anything, but also consider the place that you at. Are you going to be able to live up and give whatever that you're getting? Like if you say you want to graduate, are you willing to put in the effort? Are you willing to put in the work? So I think that is also something that is important to consider when you're actually looking for a mentor. But in general, just the objective of the mentorship, what you hope to achieve, and yeah.